Hello everybody, and thank you for attending. My name is Gordon Stein. I'm the CFO of CleanTech Lithium, and I'm going to talk to you about lithium, which is probably the most in-demand product in the world at the moment. You'll hear more about that. And also about a process that we're using, which is going to transform the way that lithium is actually provided to the worldwide market, a process that a lot of other companies are working on at the same time. CleanTech Lithium, been around since 2017. We have 3 strategic projects in Chile. Chile's got the most reserves of lithium in the world. We have 2 million tons on 2 resources at the moment. To give a scale of that, 2 million tons will probably produce about enough battery-grade lithium for about 1 million cars a year. So it's pretty substantial in terms of ton. We're drilling at the moment on all 3 of our campaigns, and we look hopefully to double that resource within the next 3 or 4 months. We're probably the only company in the world with 3 entire basins, 100% owned. I don't know of anybody else who's got those. It means that we can control our own destiny in those areas. And we've put together a board and a management team over the course of the last 18 months, which has delivered huge projects to the world, and particularly in Chile, including the biggest 2 copper mines in the world. We listed in London on the AIM market in March 22. We raised 9.6 million over a couple of raises. That was at 30p, and yesterday we closed at 55. So we're moving forward pretty nicely. Just a quick snapshot. I mean, the management still own nearly 20% of the company. We are listed on AIM, but we are also listed in the US on OTC and in Germany. And by mid-year this year, we'll be listed in Australia. So we're moving forward. Interestingly, Canaccord, our broker, a joint broker, we appointed them last September. They cover 30 lithium stocks around the world. And also they cover loads of other companies. They actually made CleanTech Lithium the worldwide top pick for 2023, not just for lithium, but for all natural resources, whether it's iron ore and mining or gold and so on. Forbes magazine also picked us as one of the top 4 players in the world to look at this year. Lithium, it's the most in demand because it's electric car vehicles. This is an independent study done 18 months ago by Benchmark. It's showing a 20 times increase in the required demand for lithium and for car batteries. Simple reason is EV cars. There's 34 million cars on the road in the UK. They have to be replaced in some form or another by electric vehicles. That's just the UK. So we're looking at a huge supply-demand issue that's suddenly arisen in the lithium market. You have car companies, battery manufacturers, industry players scrabbling around trying to find lithium, find sources of lithium. And historically, there's been 2 ways of actually producing lithium. Hard rock mining in Australia, which is pretty mine-intensive. Carbon footprint is horrible. You've got to transport all the product to China to be processed. 95% gets thrown away. It's just not the way the world is working nowadays. And then you have the evaporation ponds in Chile, these huge ponds of mile after mile, using the sun to evaporate water. It's not environmentally friendly. So the world has to move on from that, and I'll show you how we're doing that with other players. We have 3 projects. Laguna Verde is the most advanced. This is 4,500 meters up the mountain in the Andes. The nearest people are 100 kilometers away. There's pretty limited flora fauna. This is high up. We drilled 4 wells last year. We came up with 1.5 million tons. That's a 70-year project, 70 years. We've drilled a couple of more wells. We'll announce that to the market within the next 4 to 6 weeks. And we hope to get that beyond 2 million tons. This is the environment you'll see, and I'll show you some other photographs, but we're in a nice position where we control that whole basin. The scoping study, we put this out in January this year. This is effectively an economic analysis of the project. I won't go into all the detail, but the actual process we're using can capture 94% of the lithium in the brine that we're actually. That, when you compare evaporation ponds, about 40%, and even worse on the hard rock. We've got a process here which will become mainstream around the world in the next few years. I'll explain the process, but we've got extremely attractive economics. I mean, the lithium price went up to $80,000 a ton. It's now around about $50,000, $60,000. We run our economics at 20. But we're still looking at 1.8 billion, NPV on this project. and a 45% IRR, and the capex being repaid within a year and a half. So you've got an extremely interesting project here and this is just our first project. We have 3 of these. So we're moving forward nicely on these projects. The second project's about a year behind the other one. It's a slightly different environment. They actually did the Mars landing. The testers were done on this site here many years ago. This is about 100 kilometers away. Again, we own the entire basin. This is a huge basin, as far as the eye can see. We're drilling 3 wells at the moment. We've nearly completed them, and we'll announce the results of that to the market in the next 2-3 months. And we'll also put a scoping study out on this as well. Again, we'll use this technology, I'll explain in a minute, on this project. And the third project is very much greenfield. This magenta you see at the bottom here, that's brine. We know that. This is an old oil and gas with lithium crusts on the surface. If there's lithium in that brine, this is a world-class project. We'll find that out in the next 2 months. We start drilling next week. So pretty excited about this. We picked this up last year and announced this to the market. It only cost us $100,000 just by clever land management and acquiring the assets. The board is extremely excited about this, and we'll know pretty soon about what we have here. That's our 3 projects. What is this direct lithium extraction? This is the new process. Well, it's actually not new. It's been around for 40 years. It's been used in I'm explaining. Our strategy is, I won't go through this in detail. The key point here is that the demand for lithium means that off-takers need supply. So all of our program from the left to the right is prove up the resource, test the technology. We'll have a pilot plant up and running within the next 2 or 3 months to produce 1 ton of battery-grade lithium. And through that process, start conversations with strategic off-take partners. We've had some household names out to our site. We've got another name going out next week. There's a lot of interest. Again, people wanting supply. So we're looking forward to some interesting conversations by the end of this year into next year. What is direct lithium extraction? You're effectively taking from the brine. Our resource isn't in the Laguna. We never touch this. It's about 100 meters down below the clay. There's a huge aquifer, and it's the same in all of those basins, where you've got 200 meters of brine. And in the brine there's various different products. There's lithium, there's calcium, there's magnesium. We're looking to extract the lithium so we can sell it into the market. And through this process you see at the end there, we simply take the brine out, put it through a process of using a resin, and this is a resin with little holes in it. The lithium gets caught in the holes. The calcium and the magnesium goes past. So what we do, and this process will become mainstream, is once you've extracted it and you've got your lithium out, put that aside, you then wash the lithium clean and you have your lithium. We take the spent brine with just less the lithium and we re-inject it in the reservoir 4 or 5 miles away. So there's no depletion of the aquifer, there's no use of depletion of water, and we're re-injecting. This will take a few years and we'll come back again. We're doing the hydrological studies, bringing more lithium with it. So it's sustainable in that you're not depleting water and you're not affecting the subsurface process. And secondly to that, to make it even cleaner, we're using 100% renewable energy for that process. Chile's got 60 to 70% today renewable energy. It's the most advanced country, I think, in the world in terms of renewable power. So we can produce clean battery-grade lithium. We've had it tested in labs. It's been checked out in Germany and certified. So this is, and there's about probably 20 companies around the world doing exactly what we're doing in different ways, because this new market has opened up, and so on. So this is quite an exciting process where we can do, and we can produce what we're calling green lithium. Chile itself, interestingly, Chile's got the biggest reserves of lithium in the world. It hasn't been very good in getting it out. The way it's got it out to date is these evaporation ponds. And Chile made a surplus last year, first time in 15 years, taxes from lithium. But Chile put out a new announcement last week. It was music to our ears that DLE is, all projects in Chile from now on will use DLE. It was CleanTech who introduced DLE to the government 3-4 months ago. I was in that meeting. So the Chile government is now, and it's going to put another major announcement out next week on the way that Chile is going to unlock this market through this new process. Interestingly, you see China there. China doesn't have a lot of lithium. That's why it's running around the world grabbing projects and grabbing assets in Africa, South America, and so on, and then using it, and particularly taking a lot of product from Australia to actually unlock this So Chile now is in the catch-up mode. The US, the middle point there, the US government's realized it's 10 years behind China. So it's gone out, Biden has signed the Inflation Reduction Act, $1 trillion of money available to companies to unlock the problem for the States, because the States has got a lot of catching up to do. So it's handing out money, $150 million to a company called Lilac to do exactly what we're doing. The interesting thing is that money is available to companies who are free trade agreement countries with America. Chile is a free trade agreement country. The only country producing lithium today is a free trade agreement country with the States. So you can assume that we're having some interesting conversations with the US government. And then Chile itself recognized it needs to send a message to the market. We're open for business. Let's invest in Chile. So the president announced this in September, looking for an inward investment. And the president will be making a statement in the next couple of weeks, which we're very pleased about. You'll read about that in the papers. The old way of mining was you go into a site, you take it over, you don't care about the population, and you do things that way. That's not the way that things need to work nowadays. You have to work with the local communities. Chile said very clearly, if the local populations don't support a project, this won't happen. Now, our local populations are 100 kilometers away, but in their minds, they still have, this is their land, this is their ancestral lands. So we engage with them, 10 indigenous communities. We've had them to site. They've been there watching our drilling in action. We're working with them. We're working with the local universities to bring their students on board in terms of geology, training. And this is the way forward. Actually bring the communities with you, and then you have a project which actually you can add back into the communities. So we're seeing, and obviously our company as well, ESG is a big part of our DNA, our footprint. We're an ESG committee, and our board is made up of people with that whole mindset. So probably interesting as well is that when I joined the company 18 months ago, there's 3 of us. There's now 30 people, and most of them in Chile. Operational staff that we pulled together, and more than 50% of our operational people and technical people are women, engineers, production people, and so on. It's fantastic. So the values are important to us. How is a company like CleanTech going to raise 400 million? Strategic partners, people out there desperate for lithium supply. You've got Tesla buying up downstream companies. You've got General Motors putting $650 million 2 weeks ago into an American lithium company. You've got Stellantis in Europe putting money into Vulcan. So the car companies are having to go downstream to find product. The battery manufacturers looking for product. Then you have the industry players. BHP is getting into lithium. Rio Tinto is getting into lithium. It's a product that they realize they need to fill. So the world is going to get interesting. We've got some interesting conversations in the next few months with people who want our product. So because we can do it cleanly as well, again with the regulations in the European Union, car companies are going to demonstrate where their products come from, their carbon footprint. It's written in law. So we can sell our product into that market because we've got a green stamp on it. So this is going to be the new way of the world in terms of the way lithium production happens. And then there's different ways, including the IRA and so on. So we're pretty excited about where we'll go in terms of our fundraising on this. So just to summarize, we're one of a number of players in the space. We're all playing in the same space, doing the same things, urging each other on. There's a company called Cornish Lithium down in Cornwall doing what we're doing. A company in Germany, a company in Argentina. There's a number of projects going on in America doing this to change the way that lithium is produced, to do it environmentally friendly. So the other good thing about this, it's modular. The kit you build for these production facilities can be done in 18 months, not 10 years like you do with these mines. So we can be on production in 25, 26. So our plan is to be there. So in mining terms, a very short lead time. A technology that's existed and been used elsewhere, we can use in our and then so on. We have roads going right past our site. Chile is well blessed with their infrastructure, and particularly with that renewable energy push. And the government has come around to the fact that this is the way of unlocking lithium in Chile. So you're going to hear a lot more about this terminology as we move forward alongside our ESG focus. And that's me. Okay.